Welcome to The Inside Track, where we talk all things health, healthcare and medical insurance. Brought to you by TRA and our team of Warren, Alan and Doc Avron. Let's sit back and see what our team has for us today.
Hi everyone and welcome to The Inside Track. It is unbelievable the response we've had to this little journey of ours. Never did we think that a simple podcast would create such interest amongst our policyholders and our stakeholders. And between Avron and Alan, we're really happy that people are watching our podcast, people are commenting on our podcast, and we really appreciate all of that. So let's jump right into this week's episode. We had a very interesting topic that we discussed a while ago, and that's to do with hypertension amongst our population, in particular young adults. And Avron was able to get hold of a professor down in the Western Cape and have a fantastic conversation about this.
Well, you are 100% right. I mean, hypertension is a very prevalent disease in South Africa. It's one of those silent diseases. There's so much information that people need to know about it. It's growing in incidence in South Africa, and I actually discussed this with our guest, Professor Erika Jones. She's a professor. She did a PhD in hypertension, and she's based out of Groote and University of Cape Town. I had a fascinating discussion with her, and I'm sure our listeners will find it very interesting and a lot of value to take out of it. So let's listen what she had to say.
Great.
Hi, I'm Dr. Avron Urison, and I'm the Chief Medical Officer at TRA. And today our very special guest is Professor Erika Jones, who's a nephrologist and hypertension specialist at Groote Hospital with a particular interest in younger people and hypertension after pregnancy. Erika, so great to have you with us. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Avron. It's really great to be on this platform.
Great. And I think it's a really special show today because I think a lot of people take high blood pressure for granted or maybe don't, it being a common disease out there. And I really want to unpack it with you today, just to understand and explain it for our listeners. And then obviously that they can be more alert to obviously this chronic condition and what they need to look out for and how it needs to be managed. So Erika, if we can kick off and just start off by saying and answering basically, just to simplify what hypertension is and what the incidence in the adult population is in South Africa.
So, let's start with nearly 40%, 35 to 40% of people in South Africa have hypertension. So that's almost every second person. So there is almost no one who doesn't know someone who has hypertension.
Right.
And one of the biggest problems with hypertension is we don't go and check our blood pressures to find out if we do have hypertension. So 50% of people with hypertension don't even know that they've got high blood pressure, and they can come in with the strokes and the heart attacks. So it's very prevalent, and it has dramatic effects. So what is high blood pressure? High blood pressure is essentially when the pressure in the blood vessels goes too high, and it can go too high for a number of reasons. We're particularly looking at problems like kidney disease. It is associated with some other conditions, but most of the time it's a mixture of genetics and the way we live.
Right.
So we can't really take away our risk, but we can improve the way we live. We can't take away the fact that our parents have it and stuff like that. So it's there in the genes, but we can manage our risk factors.
We'll move on to the management of it, but just for our listeners, because we have a lot of different numbers coming in from all different companies and medical aids and doctors, etc. What would you define as a high blood pressure in the adult population? In other words, when should people start worrying? They go do their screening check. What numbers should they be worried about?
So I'll tell you what you want to have your numbers, less than 120/70, but we make a diagnosis at 140/90. So we must start treatment at 140/90, but if you're you and me, we want our numbers less than 120/70 because that's what's going to be best for our hearts, our brains, and our kidneys.
Great. And I think that's a great explanation for our listeners, because they're often seeing these different numbers. And why is it called the silent killer?
Well, as I was saying earlier, a lot of people don't know until they check their blood pressure. So you can go around with high blood pressures, and then all of a sudden it causes a heart attack or a stroke or kidney failure, and you die from that. So high blood pressure is usually completely asymptomatic. So you're walking around high blood pressure, absolutely fine. And unless you check your blood pressure, you will not know.
And I think that's really important. And as you said at the beginning of this podcast, we're looking at probably about 30 to 40% of adults in South Africa walking around with high blood pressure.
Yeah, it's high. It's
Yes.
commonest chronic condition in this country.
Okay. Great. And just to summarize again for our listeners, how many of those walking around don't know that they have high blood pressure?
Every second person.
Okay. So very significant. And that's the importance of screening. And I'm sure we'll get onto that and how what you should do so you decrease your risk. But I suppose what's on people's minds, and what I've been asked as well, is, can you reverse it? In other words, someone goes in, they get that blood pressure that's above 140/90. What should they do?
So the prevention, the reversing, and the treatment can all happen. It's very positive, and we have to put in a bit of effort, quite a lot of effort, but it is absolutely reversible. So you do not have to take treatments if you catch it early. So if you go in and you have a blood pressure check, either just because you're checking your blood pressure when you're going to get simple treatments, or you decide you're going to go a workplace-based assessment or something like that, and you find your blood pressure up, there are absolutely steps that we can take to prevent it from progressing, prevent the heart attacks and the strokes, and reverse it. So it's lifestyle. We need to exercise every day. So we're aiming for half an hour of exercise on a daily basis. But not just dedicated exercise. We want to maintain an active life. So during the day, keeping our steps up, walking around, doing things with quickly rather than a sedentary walking, not sitting down too much, just being active throughout your day. So that's the activity part. And then when it comes to what we're eating or what we're putting into our mouths, it's what do we not do and what do we do? So what we want to do is lots of fresh fruit, lots of vegetables. Meat is good. Meat is fine, not too much. But most meats are fine. You want low-fat meats, but it needs to look like meat. When it's processed and filled with all sorts of additives, those additives are bad for blood pressure. So that's what we should do. So meat, veg, fruit, good. What we want to take out is the additives, the salt, the sugar, the alcohol, too much starch, too much processed food. So if it looks natural, it's probably going to be good. If it looks less natural, if it's processed, and packaged and in tins, it's full of preservatives. It's full of things that are there, and they're driving blood pressure, they're driving inflammation, and we need to remove them from our diets to control the blood pressure, prevent it, and reverse it.
Right. Tell me about smoking.
Smoking hasn't got a massive impact on blood pressure, but what it does is it damages the lining of the blood vessels, the endothelium, and that damage then can cause cholesterol plaque to build up. And when you have cholesterol plaque, so fatty plaque building up in the kidneys, in the blood vessels, and you have high blood pressure, you put them together, they kind of feed each other and they cause more and more damage. And that's what results in the heart attacks and the strokes.
I've had a lot of people ask me about vaping. We know that's increasing the incidence amongst young people. Would that have an effect on blood pressure?
So we don't know for sure. I mean, cigarettes we've had around for a century more, and so we know the damage. We It looks like they do some damage. It looks like they may be driving some inflammation, but this is early. These are early studies.
Right. And Erika, you're an expert, as we said at the beginning, in terms of hypertension in young adults, right, in the younger population. Is the incidence increasing in the younger population, and what would the causes be for that?
So it's definitely increasing. We have 15-20% increase in younger population groups over the past 20 years. A lot of this is to do with lifestyle. We've changed from a lifestyle of being active outside, working in the fields, walking a lot. Now we get in our cars, we sit at our computers, and we watch TV. So that is a sedentary lifestyle. And then we've got a lot of fake foods, fast foods, horrible things that we eat constantly because they're cheap, they're easy, they're quick. And we have these fast-paced lives where you're just chasing your careers. So it's quick and easy to grab a fast food as you go past some nice big red glossy place. And so we do eat badly. And so when we see the rise of high blood pressure in association with obesity and with poor eating habits and sedentary lifestyle.
Fine. So we put it down to exactly as you said, lifestyle issues, potentially the cause of the increase in the younger population.
Yeah.
So I suppose the question on people's minds now is when do they need medication? We said, okay, there's the silent killer, you're getting screened for it. You obviously find that your blood pressure levels are high. You try some lifestyle changes, it doesn't work. At what point do you need this medication?
So if you get a diagnosis of hypertension and at that point in time you've got evidence of organ damage from the high blood pressure, you should be started on treatment immediately. If you are getting an early diagnosis of hypertension and you want to institute lifestyle changes to see if you can avoid having to take treatment, then it's 3 to 6 months. And I would recommend that everyone checks their blood pressure at 3 months, check that they're on the right track, gets the encouragement, gets the involvement of the dietitians and biokineticists and other people that are involved in improving and helping us move through those steps, because it's hard. It's really hard to turn around and take these horrible things out of our diet because they're everywhere.
Are blood pressure tablets forever once you start taking them?
So, yes, for the majority of people. But if you turn around your life, you lose all the excess weight, you are exercising every day, eating a healthy, balanced diet with no salt, you can actually reverse the need for antihypertensives. It depends, again, if there's any organ damage, so kidney or heart or brain damage as a result of the high blood pressure, then you might need certain particular agents to help look after that aspect of it. But if you've got none of that and you reverse all of the bad things, there is a chance that you can stop taking antihypertensives. But that must be done in collaboration with your doctor.
And would you say the average GP is in a position to manage hypertension, or individuals out there should be seeking specialist help on this?
Almost everyone should be managed by a GP. There are a few patients that do need a specialist. These are the people who've got what we call a secondary cause of hypertension. So they've got something like kidney damage that's driving the blood pressure, or a blockage in the arteries. These do need to be managed by a specialist. My personal feeling is almost all young people should be assessed by a specialist to determine if they have got a cause of their high blood pressure that can be reversed. But for the rest of their lives, if it's controlled and there isn't a secondary cause of the hypertension, everyone can be managed by their GP.
And for the average person out there, Erika, how often should an individual get screened, to check now, okay, this is a huge issue happening, and hopefully our listeners have been alerted to that. How often should I be screened to check my blood pressure?
So as an average adult, I think we should screen at least once a year, right? If your blood pressure is running on the high side of the okay range, then you need to bring it back, check it 6 monthly. If you're consistently less than 120/70, then once a year is going to be fine. And this is everyone from the age of 18, so all adults. There's another group, is the women who've had high blood pressure in their pregnancies are at far exaggerated risk of developing high blood pressure early and kidney disease and heart disease at a much greater prevalence. So these women need to be even more aware, screen more regularly, and make sure that they're instituting lifestyle changes to prevent it from coming.
Erika, we know you're a professor. Is there any interesting research you're doing at the moment in terms of the topic of hypertension that you'd like to share with us?
Yeah. So a lot of my research is looking at the long-term consequences of hypertension in pregnancy. And what we see is at about 1 year in the patients who've had preeclampsia, around about 50% of them have got hypertension at 1 year, about 44% new onset hypertension. So they were normotensive before their pregnancies. We're seeing about 20% develop kidney damage, and 30 to 40% have got protein in the urine, which is a marker of early damage to the blood vessels, endothelial damage. So that's just from our setting. That's what we're seeing. So that's how dramatic it is and how important it is that we screen these patients. Internationally, we're seeing far in excess heart disease and stroke as well.
Right. So I think the importance there is for women in pregnancy, if they've had hypertension in pregnancy, they need to be continually screened after. And I mean, that's a key message coming out of that.
Yeah. So they need to have their kidneys checked and they need to have their blood pressure checked.
Fascinating. Erika, we could go on interviewing you for hours, I'm sure, on this topic, and we look forward to definitely bringing you back on our podcast. But if you had to leave a final message for our listeners on this important topic, and we've learned so much in the podcast today, what would that message be?
I think my most important message is everyone go and check your blood pressure, know what your number is, and if it is high, you must insist that people give you treatment or you make a change to your lifestyle and get your blood pressure numbers down.
I think that's such an important message. And there you have it. Hypertension. We need to screen, we need to look out for it, and we need to manage it if it's up. Professor Erika Jones, Professor of Nephrology and Hypertension at Critics Care Hospital. Thank you so much for your time and really appreciate the input. And thanks for sharing those important words with us.
Well, thank you very much for having me.
Thanks a lot. Cheers, everyone. Goodbye.
Bye.
Well, I must say that's astounding. Alan, from a medical aid point of view, the impact of costs on a medical aid due to hypertension, Dr. Everard, I mean, the cost aspect, the impact on our social, the social side of things, it's tremendous.
Yeah, I mean, there are a lot of learnings there, and I think one of the biggest coming out of that is that the prevalence and of it being a silent disease, right? People don't know about it, and one of the messages that comes out of my interview with Prof Jones is that you actually have to screen regularly.
Yeah.
Every adult should screen regularly to actually assess, do they have this underlying disease, because it is manageable.
Sure.
It's one of those chronic manageable diseases, and Alan, I'm sure you know a lot about that from the medical aid perspective, but people need to know about it. So a lot of value add coming out of that, and I hope our listeners can take it at heart, and at least one learning point, go and get yourself screened.
Yes.
Doc, you're so right, because and the prevalence thereof many years ago wasn't as prevalent it is today across the sectors of society, because we in South Africa is westernized and eating westernized food to a greater extent than 10-15 years ago. So the burden of disease and the contribution of hypertension is huge on the population.
Yeah, it is. The other thing is that, you know, from a TRA point of view, we're actually very happy that we do 2 screenings a year here at the office as part of our wellness days. And I think that's the message also, that if there are corporates listening to this, is, you know, get your staff screened, because you never know.
Absolutely. It's imperative. All corporates should be doing it.
Yeah,
not
for sure.
For their staff.
But let us go on to our next segment. As you know, we like to cover items around our healthcare industry. And something that's come up is the issue of rewards and loyalty programs. We know that medical aids offer those type of programs. And the big question is, are they added value or are they just gimmicks? So let's dive into that.
$1 million question. I'm looking forward to answer that.
Absolutely. Alan, what do medical schemes offer in terms of these reward programs? How do they work?
Thanks, Warren. Medical scheme reward programs are generally twofold. It's to drive loyalty or retention. And secondly, it's a system or a tier-based solution that members can access points or programs. And that is all just to incentivize health behaviors. So health behaviors, particularly in a society like ours with a high burden of disease, is important. And members can earn points, move up tiers and access more points, going to the gym or buying healthy foods, complete wellness checks and a so-called HAR or health risk assessment, or stop smoking through a program, for example, like Smoke Enders. These points often translate into tangible rewards, and it can, for those that make use of the program, contribute to reduction in disease, such as discounts on gyms and flights. Members go to retail shops and get vouchers. And, you know, it goes beyond medical schemes. The banks are into it, and generally many institutions are into it. So it can promote a healthier lifestyle, reduce long-term medical costs on medical schemes, and improve member engagement. That's exactly what medical schemes want out of it. Unfortunately, Warren, only about 5% uptake is prevalent in the medical schemes environment.
So the question that stems from that is, do these programs really affect the health outcomes of a scheme? Or are they just, it's just an add-on, it's a nice to have?
Warren, the data indicates or suggests that engaged members do show improved lifestyle habits. It's often hard to prove a direct correlation between the rewards program and the benefits that's derived from it in terms of reducing sickness conditions or chronicity. A direct link between rewards and long-term health outcomes is, for example, if you have an organization or a company with a high burden of disease in terms of chronicity, it's better to get people active, participate in the reward programs, because active members are less sick than non-active members.
Sure.
And I really want for promoting long-term health outcomes that's derived from programs, reward programs that provide health benefits in terms of the medical scheme's direct needs.
Sure. I like the links there, Doc, everyone, where we have some of these programs offer wellness days. And that takes us back to what we said earlier about getting screened.
It's about the corporates and those staff members getting involved.
So there is that positive element.
But you've got to get people involved. As Alan said, if you're saying for only 5%, even say, let's say it's 10%. Of your medical aid environment involved, that's too low to really shift the burden of disease, right?
Yeah.
Sure.
Right, Warren, just to add on further, for highly motivated individuals that are, let's call them active in gyms, walk and participate in a lifestyle that is less sedentary, it gives huge benefits. Because members are happier going on a flight that's free. Members are happy getting a holiday here and there, reduced price on healthy foods. It does support the notion that those that do participate get real benefit from that.
Sure, because it affects their health in a positive way. So there's less claims on the scheme. The scheme faces less cost pressures. They have a lower contribution, for example. I mean, it's a very high over.
It's an amazing model, and ultimately it's a numbers game. But yes, if everyone participated, everyone would become healthier, and then everyone would benefit.
Yeah.
Right.
Sure. But here's the other side. of people using it for just because of the so-called fashionable benefit. In other words, you say you go to gym just to earn the free smoothie or that type of thing, you know. So there is that side that provides a bit of a balance, you know.
Yeah, and it serves no benefit just to go and swipe your gym card and
Sure.
out of the gym.
No, exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
you must be an engaged individual. Reward programs, I mean, a lot of thinking and thought has gone into designing them. For example, for those that are not so active, it is best to try and promote the rewards program in a systematic way that will make them become active in a
Yeah.
way.
No,
And
sure.
these are definitely, sorry, Doc, these are definitely linked to wellness days, because that's where you do your health risk assessment. That's where the diseases are identified. That's where the treatment, and that's where you are directed into becoming active in
Right.
using your rewards
And
program.
that ties so nicely in our topic of hypertension, because a lot of hypertension is diagnosed in those wellness days,
100%.
and you can start treatment.
Yes.
Correct. Warren, it is quite fair to say that yes, rewards benefits or loyalty programs have their place, and there is an element of clever marketing because it skews towards retaining the member
Sure.
for the medical scheme. But I don't think we can deny that there are real benefits if it's
Sure.
used effectively.
No, sure. And I think that's it's a nice way to round up.
Been a great episode talking about a very prevalent disease and amazing value-added service.
Yeah, and I think that combination of guys, you need to watch your health, but there are tools that you can use, even if it's your medical aid or your gap cover. There are tools to help you stay on the right side of where you should be.
And that's the intention of this podcast, is to educate our members even further and making sure that they understand the value adds, they understand how to manage their health, and that's our role at TRA.
Good.
Great.
Yeah, great. And another great episode. And as usual, we'll hand over to Gappy because he's always got some very important words for us. So thanks very much.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.
Don't stress, the gap is covered.
Well, there we go. Thank you to the TRA team and to you for watching the Inside Track. Until next time, bye for now.